So before I came here, I asked the chairman how long do I have, and he said 2 hours.
Half day.
2 hours. So I will minimize the talk to fit the 2 hours deadline, but otherwise I don't know what to do. As you know, professors usually have 3 attributes, good or bad. The first one, they long to have a conversation. They would love to talk. And whenever they have the chance to talk, they never stop. And the third attribute is nobody understands what they say. So I will fulfill the first 2, but I'm not too sure about the last one. You will decide. Okay, so I will talk about activated sludge. This is my field of interest. I had done my PhD thesis on this topic, and now it is the most common and the most widely used biological treatment system in the world. And I say for more than one century it's been used, and time has come to change, or it has already passed to make certain changes. So we'll talk about this. So I prepared this with my colleague, Professor Sözen from Technical University of Istanbul. I will talk first about the evolution of the process. I think it is the most remarkable achievement that environmental engineering has ever lived, because it tames the microbial world to accomplish what you need to know, what you need to do. So all the functions, we can tailor them to be accomplished in a reactor. And it was accidentally discovered in 1914, because nobody knew what it was. The biological basis of the process was not known at the time, not until 1930s. So that was a process that was accidentally tried, and it worked. So it took immediately off, and it was started to be implemented. So the first type of activated sludge was a batch activated sludge. Nowadays we call it sequencing batch reactor with no sedimentation tank. But okay, do I have to, did I? The basics, well, after trial and error for a number of years, it finally got the final shape, which is an aerated reactor plus what we call a secondary sedimentation tank, plus or minus a primary sedimentation tank. And this is how it was applied for years and years. Now, the first 50 years was, let me see. It was developed to a stage where it was applied mostly to carbon removal systems and what we call nitrification, oxidation of ammonia, after the first 50 years. And a number of research was carried out to understand the fundamental basis of the process, the microbial basis of the process, and very, very simple modeling of the process. So that was the 50 years. But after the 50 years, which is the 1980s, the last 40 years has been as being an avenue of very significant achievements in activated sludge. The first achievement was what was the substrate that was fed to the system. Of course, the substrate is what was in the wastewater, but we had to identify and call it something, and it was before called by an empirical parameter, which was named biological oxygen demand. This is the worst parameter that has ever been used in environmental engineering because it has no basis. And instead, at the beginning of the 80s, the COD, chemical oxygen demand, replaced biological oxygen demand. Now we evaluate biological treatment systems by COD. Even the 131 of the German have a version based on the COD values. And once the COD was established and was accepted, there was what we call COD fractionation. Before, substrate was one single parameter. Nowadays, it has been divided into a number of different parameters, which shows COD fractions with different biodegradation characteristics. Now, this was an important achievement, and this COD fractionation started the way for the development of multi-component modeling, which came in 1987 by a combined effort of Danish, Dutch, and Swiss, and Japan colleagues. So in those models, everything was evaluated in terms, substrate and biomass. Substrate and microbial community was identified in terms of COD. The beauty of COD, chemical oxygen demand, is the equilibrium between which that parameter defined between the substrate consumed, biomass that is formed, and oxygen that is being used. So it sets the basis for this mass balance, which is very important for modeling. And of course, supporting information, supporting technology came forward, which with respirometric analysis, we can now measure how much bacteria respire, which is an important factor. And we run particle size analysis, we run molecular analysis of the components. All experimental support now is available for evaluating activated sludge systems. And also studies and modeling, which is of an important parameter, which is known as substrate storage. Substrate storage occurs in bacteria too. In our body system, substrate storage occurs. What do we store? Anybody who listens? Anybody who's not dozed off? What do we store? We store, unfortunately, fat. We are getting fatty. So the lipid is what we store, but we also store something like glycogen and fatty acid as well, but in the muscles. But the higher level of growth is turned into storing lipids, but bacteria store polyalkylanates and also glycogen. So this mechanism was elaborated. So I will recommend two references for if you're interested in the evolution of the process. The one on my left is, of course, a better one, mainly because I wrote it. And the one on my right-hand side is a booklet that was derived from a conference, and it reads Activated Sludge 100 Years and Counting. So if you're interested in the past of activated sludge, I would recommend you start by these materials, and then you can elaborate. Okay, this system right now, as it stands, it has the potential of predicting the behavior of at least 3 groups of microorganisms. The heterotrophs that remove carbon, the autotrophs that removed or oxidize ammonia, and the heterotrophs who can uptake phosphorus. 3 different groups, and they can be predicted, their behavior can be predicted and modeled. So this is how much we know about the microbial process. And of course, for each of these processes, the activated sludge has developed many different configurations in the past. But unfortunately, the process structure still maintains a number of drawbacks. What are they? First, the traditional gravity settling, the filamentous growth of bacteria, which we cannot prevent, and sludge generation and handling. These are, to my opinion, the main drawbacks of the process. So it looks, we grow the bacteria and we let it settle. It's a very simple task. It looks very simple, but we rely on gravity settling. So we let the biomass in a quiescent reactor, which we call sedimentation tank, and we wait for it settles, and then we separate the treated liquor and the biomass in that gravity settler, and then we recirculate the biomass. This is the process. So this is almost a century-old technology which accompanied activated sludge almost since its discovery. Well, the first system was, as I mentioned, batch system, but it reverted immediately to a system with a sedimentation tank. So what is the problem? The first, we cannot control biomass. There is always an escape of biomass, and the effluent will be loaded with biomass which has its COD equivalent. So we cannot control that, and the failure to collect everything that is formed in terms of biomass, when it escapes, it affects the biological reactions, of course, that take place in the reactor. So what has been done so far, all the design efforts was geared to try to control biomass, to give biomass a settling property, optimum condition for achieving settling of the biomass. This was the optimal, this was the goal of the designers. And what they did, they chose oversized reactors. There are 2 parameters to size the reactors nowadays, biological reactors. One is called the sludge retention time, or the sludge age. The other is hydraulic retention time. And a normal activated sludge system, which is designed for domestic sewage, the sludge age will be taken as 8 days, and the retention time, hydraulic retention time, will be taken as 8 to 10 hours. This is too long. This is all to condition the sludge so that it can be settled, not for the removal of the substrate itself. And the thing is, the composition of biomass that we form within the reactor change, because the substrate or the feed, the wastewater's feed, is very dynamic. It changes with time. So it affects the structure of the biomass, and it changes, and if it affects the settling characteristics. So we have what we call bulking and foaming properties. So the system needs to be controlled periodically for settling characteristics. You cannot leave a system designed and operate it by itself. So you always have to control settling characteristics. I don't seem to have full control of this stuff. Okay, now it's okay. Now we use a very rudimentary, a very simple method to measure settling characteristics. We call the sludge volume index, and it gives the volume of 1 gram of sludge, really. We can measure from time to time, and the systems are designed for a value of 100 milliliters per gram of biomass up to 150. But if it goes above 150, there is no control remedial action. We only measure that, and if it goes beyond to the tolerable limits, we don't know what to do. Normally what is done is injecting chlorine, which will kill supposedly filamentous bacteria, but also kills the healthy bacteria as well. So it's like cancer treatment, or worse than cancer treatment, because it has a damaging effect. So this is one of the most serious problems that is routinely associated with activated sludge systems, and it attracted immense research effort. And but there is no decisive solutions. They are yet to be found so far. My professor, David Jenkins, is a renowned professor at the University of Berkeley, started working on bulking and foaming in 1971. Luckily enough that I was finished then, and then he started with a new guy from Turkey, activated sludge bulking, and still continues working on that with no solution. That's the most unfortunate type of study to pursue with no results at all. Okay, the third one is sludge handling and disposal. The traditional system, the concern was the characteristics of treated sludge. So sludge disposal was a secondary issue at the beginning. So the system, to ensure good settling condition, was designed at high sludge retention time values, sludge age values, so that would implicitly minimize sludge generation. So traditionally, sludge is minimized, used to be minimized in activated sludge systems. So this essentially disregarded the energy potential of the sludge, because the energy in the system is conserved in sludge. So what we do, we try to oxidize at the beginning the maximum possible level of bacteria or biomass. And how we did that? By using extra energy. So we consumed all the energy available by still spending more energy for it. So these are, to my mind, the three major drawbacks of the traditional activated sludge system. So how can we reshape the process? Or has the time come or passed reshaping the process? Okay, we have to answer a number of questions. The first one, do we still require gravity settling? The second one, do we still require high sludge ages? High sludge age means keeping the biomass as long as possible. When the sludge age is 10, we keep the biomass for 10 hours, 10 days in the reactor. So it's a long time. And do we still exercise low excess sludge generation practice in view of the energy conservation perspective? And do we still need the traditional anaerobic treatment for sludge digestion, for energy recovery and sludge disposal? So those questions we need to answer. The first one, we don't need gravity settling because the activated sludge has long passed the phase of strict dependency on gravity settling, because now we have membrane filtration. So membrane filtration has the potential to replace gravity settling. And the MBR configuration, that is the membrane bioreactor configuration, essentially conserves the aerated reactor and couples it with a membrane filter. And the biomass is recirculated, so this system is called membrane bioreactor. It is a misnomer because it overlooks the type of biological system that you use. If it's activated sludge, so it's a membrane activated sludge process, really. So M should come first. And what it does really, it captures, it retains all the biomass. No biomass escape, because biomass, the separation of biomass is approximately 450 micron, and the filter size is less than, very much less than 450 micron. It is in the neighborhood of 40, 50, or 30 nanometers. Sorry, did I say micron? No, all are nanometers. So the separation of particulate from solid in the biological system is 450 nanometers. So this is how we measure particulate solids. But in in MBR systems, the filter size is much lower than that, so it captures all the biomass. So nothing is escaping to the effluent. So this is a very important, very significant potential for operating activated sludge reactors. So what they did initially, they tried to sustain as much biomass as possible in the MBR systems. So, and they are operated excessively at high sludge ages, very long, like 50 or something more. So it started, that approach started with SRTs over 50 days, leading to biomass concentrations as high as 30,000 milligrams per liter, and they gradually decreased that to a range of 10 to 15 days of sludge age, and the biomass concentration dropped down to about 10,000 milligrams per liter, and this is again excessively higher than what we can do with the classical activated sludge unit. These systems initially have been used to remove nitrogen, because removing nitrogen requires the silent. Should I turn from time to time to the silent audience, silent part of the audience which do not understand a word of what I'm saying, or should I concentrate in the middle with some hope that I can get a response? Should I listen to that? Or maybe some of them may, huh? Should I? Okay, well. Oh, sure. The last but not the least, of course, over there, yes. Because nitrifying systems, nitrification, as I mentioned, required autotrophic microorganisms. And autotrophic means, like plants, they get their carbon from carbon dioxide, which is very nice, like plants, but they get their energy from ammonia oxidation. So if they find ammonia, they oxidize to nitrate, and it's easy to maintain them because all you have to supply is some air which has some carbon dioxide in it. So it's easy. So, and they are very sensitive bacteria. They have the sludge age where you can maintain them. The growth rate is low, and the sludge age is excessively higher than what you would establish, what you would decide for the carbon removal system, the heterotrophs, what we call. So these high sludge value systems were initially, MBRs were initially used to remove nitrogen. Let's increase the sludge age, and we can accomplish total nitrification, so total removal of nitrogen from wastewaters, which is very nice because nitrogen is a significant pollutant. So, despite, well, this is an amazing advantage, of course. Try to hold in the system as much as biomass as possible. This is very nice. But the MBR systems have their own problems. They have a problem which is called fouling, which clogs the membrane system. So, and that is a major problem. And clogging, of course, attracted significant research effort. They invented new parameters, soluble microbial products, extracellular polymeric substances, and they tried to measure this to try to correlate with fouling, with membrane clogging. But the results are conflicting, so nothing is fixed yet on this area. But clogging is still a problem for badly managed membrane systems. Also, membranes, with time, accumulate a cake layer, which acts as a barrier, which prevents which causes retention of pollutants in the system. So the filter size and the cake barrier. So these are the extras of. So I have something like an hour and a half left. So if I continue, MBR with total solids retention potential, we notice that if you have the potential of retaining the biomass, why use systems with a lot of biomass in it with very high sludge retention time? We don't need to do that, or should we? So the question: Will SRTs, the sludge retention times lower than 2, secure effective substrate removal in MBR systems? This is the major question. So instead of making large MBR systems, let's reduce it to a minimum, and reducing to a minimum would need to answer that question. The sludge retention time normally in traditional activated system was between 6 and 8, and now we are testing sludge retention times lower than 2. Initial studies conducted with MBR systems at an SRT range of 0.25 to 5, they provided convincing evidence that you can remove COD more than 95%. So removing COD is no concern. So that supported the presumption that we build a large system just to condition the sludge to be settled. We don't need that. Later, environmental biotechnology group at where I was before developed the concept of super fast membrane bioreactor, which were operated at extremely low sludge range of 0.5 to 2 day. So significant research was conducted on this new subject, and so when we operated the MBR systems with sludge retention times lower than 2, we didn't have any problem by removing the substrate. The substrate was removed immediately. So as it would be removed in traditional systems, as it would be removed in systems with large SRTs. Substrate, no problem. And the threshold value for SRT was around 2. I mean, if you had an SRT of 2 or lower or higher, substrate would be totally removed. But COD would be left in the effluent, and that COD is inert COD. What is inert COD? Initially inert COD in the wastewater itself, and also what we call inert soluble microbial products that is generated in the course of biological reactions. So effective sludge, just about 5 more minutes, then I'll finish. Energy recovery from sludge, that is the third. So we can use MBR systems to replace gravity settling, no problem. And effective sludge disposal, that is the answer to, do we have to minimize the sludge? Now, the latest move in Europe or in the world is to look at the waste as a resource, especially for 2 reasons. One, you can reuse it and you can extract the energy from it. And this is same applies to wastewaters, and wastewaters has a lot of energy that we are discharging. The calorific value of 1 gram of COD in the wastewater is approximately 3,300 calories, which is a lot. So traditional activated sludge just overlooks this energy, and it wastes this energy one way or other. And what we have to concentrate is if we have to conserve this, if we have to use this energy, recover this energy, first we have to conserve it. We have the energy in the wastewater, so we have to conserve it. How do we have to conserve it? We have to keep the sludge. So the sludge is the only outlet to conserve the energy in the wastewater. So if we maximize the sludge, we conserve as much energy as there is in the wastewater itself. So instead of minimizing the sludge, then we have to reverse the case, so that we have to maximize the sludge if we need to look at the energy potential of the wastewater itself. So each of us discharge approximately 300 kilocalories to 400 kilocalories per day. So this is, we have an energy we just dispense the energy to the environment by wastes. So we have conducted a recent study where we evaluated a range of different activated sludge configurations, from sludge retention times of 0.5 to 50 days. We can design an activated sludge system starting from 0.5 per day, a very high activated sludge system, to 50 days, probably an MBR system working for nitrogen removal. So this is the range that we should look at. And that evaluation clearly showed that low SRT operation has the highest merit to recover the energy, because the energy conservation in the sludge increased from 23% in slow rate membrane bioreactor, SRT about 50 days, to about 55 to 60% in superfast membrane bioreactor, SRT lower than 2 days. So that means all the energy that we have in the wastewater, we can only conserve about 25% of it in traditional activated system. When we change the traditional activated scheme, we can increase that about 2-folds, almost 3-folds. So this is a potential. So this is energy conservation. But can we recover it? That's another issue. This is conserved, but we have to use another process to recover it. Recover it is sludge disposal. So anaerobic digestion, traditional activated sludge systems use anaerobic digestion, digesters. All European treatment plants have digesters. But digesters has been the companion of activated sludge systems since almost its discovery. But it is a very bad process, because it has very low efficiency. It can only breaks down 40 to 50% of the energy of the COD in sludge, and it converts into methane, and it leaves behind a highly diluted sludge which needs further handling before final disposal. So to my viewpoint, anaerobic digestion is the weakest link of biological wastewater treatment to recover energy, and it should be changed where possible to novel energy recovery systems such as high rate pyrolysis, gasification, rather than changing the entire treatment. So this is the happiest part of the speech, because it comes to a conclusion, but a very long conclusion, of course, as usual. Yes. So it says the accumulated evidence, it clearly shows that the time has come, or to my mind it is way past, for reshaping the activated sludge process. The novel activated sludge configuration first shall not include gravity settling, definitely. It will be operated at extremely low SRTs of around 2 per day, which will maximize sludge generation, and we will try to abandon the traditional anaerobic sludge digestion where feasible for optimizing energy recovery. This is going to be the new scheme for activated sludge. A reactor, a very small reactor, a membrane, a clear effluent, which will be suitable for reuse, especially for agriculture. You don't need to remove nitrogen and phosphorus if it is for agriculture. You dewater it and dry it for safe disposal, and then you choose one of the novel processes. Here I included high rate pyrolysis, which gives syngas, what we call syngas, which is the equivalent of natural gas. It is half the calorie of natural gas. We used to burn this syngas, natural gas, in the streets, in the street lamps at the turn of the century. Okay, what we have then, this system, the system that we have here, sorry, is going to be the core of the activated sludge system, because it will only remove carbon. So it will be heterotrophic growth to remove carbon or COD. But what we can do to attach to this core system a number of different units, so that we can create all we want. Like it's a Lego operation. For instance, we can chemically enhance SMBR. We can put chemicals in it and then try to remove everything from the system, all particulates, and remove approximately 85% of the COD. This is perfect for cities like Istanbul, where you have discharges and small MBR systems, and those in chemical like low-cost chemicals, and we can remove all BOD and COD. And we can turn this production to bioplastic production, if you want. And we can, all you have to do is to combine the core reactor with an Enovec reactor and recycle it, because phosphate systems or volatile compounds leading to bioplastic recovery requires an anaerobic system. Nutrient removal with Stroux-White settling, we can remove nitrogen and phosphorus at the same time, and we can use an immobilized reactor attached to the core system to remove nitrogen if we like to. So all is possible, and this is supposed to be a picture which supposedly shows all the connections that we have to establish to the core unit for different purposes. But gladly it doesn't show anything, so I don't need to speak anymore. So it has all the possibilities that you like. And the last, of course, not the least, is a good thank you for listening to me. And this is the way we thank the audience, of course. Thank you. And this is where we got the European Championship for basketball. The team, you should remember it. This is Fenerbahce. The Fenerbahce Republic rules Turkey, and this is how we rule it.
Any question to keynote speaker for this section?
Do you have any problems with heavy metals?
This is usually, no, this is usually for domestic sewage, of course. And domestic sewage, if you have all kind of problems for industry, you have to have a pre-treatment.
Okay.
Any further question?
From this side of the room?
They understood.
Yes. I will hold another session for you, for your questions, and then we can settle. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Han. Ladies and gentlemen, we now begin our first section for the oral presentation, and I would like to invite on stage the moderator of this section. The section is titled Energy and Development, New and Renewable Energy. The moderator, Professor Dr. Cengiz Yilmaz, will be moderating this section. And a round of applause, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, everybody. We are on a tight schedule now, I guess. So we have to move fast. So as soon as possible,